one thing I saw a lot in the summer league, at least for Reed, was he struggled getting separation, not necessarily because of his ball handling and the physicality only, but because his bigs sometimes were not the best at setting the screens and they didn't have the best rhythm for him to come off and do things. So you saw a lot of what you're about to see on this clip, having to use his kind of ball handling to get past that big. And so we're going to see that here where he comes off the screen, right? And immediately he still has the guy on his back. And then he has somebody who's playing high coverage. And on the weak side, you see two guys. And the thing with Reed is one thing I want to really give him credit for, and you'll see this in every single clip. When he comes off the screen, he's not just reading his big, he's reading the low man right away and seeing what's going on. Can he take the middle? Can he go to the side? What's happening here? In this case, he
cross court to Neil Williams, right?
Yep, he's just kind of serving what's going on. Somebody in the dunker spot baseline contains a defender, makes that cross court pass to Nate Williams. Now, Kelly and Will, I'm going to ask you. This is not a knock on Jalen. This is just a straight up fact. Besides Fred VanVleet last year, who else on this team could make a consistent cross court pass? Who was a guard?
Amen could do that a lot. He did that a lot last season.
But that was one of Jalen's. And this is something that Reed has shown constant time and time that he can constantly do. And so I want to give props to Reed because he will not make this pass until he sees that passing window open. But he is consistent with that shot. There were some off kind of passes that just comes to do with chemistry and not playing with some of these teammates a lot. But he can make that cross-court pass into the shooting pocket, and that was really impressive.
And going back to what you said about Dante and the relationship with Reed and Dante, there were a number of times where Reed was trying to tell him where to be offensively. And if you go back to kind of how the Clippers are in the kind of like a fake zone, there were instances where they were doing a DHO and Reed would kind of duck under the big because he knew that if the angle wasn't good enough, defense could just easily pinch and block that off, and he would have to work harder for a better shot. So it's going to be really important to work with the likes of Al P if they're playing small with Jabari at the big, Steven Adams, who's a great screener with the angles, Clint Capella now, who's also there. That relationship is very underrated because as the big, you are the conductor on the floor. So you can create spaces even when there aren't any. And I think that's one thing where they struggle to do in Vegas. And that's why, as you can see, there's two guys on the ball because the angle that Dante it wasn't good enough. So it's going to be a big thing for them for Reed next season for sure.
And I do want to highlight this clip because it wasn't Dante who made this play happen. It was Reed. Let's go back, Kelly, like you talked about, the contact on the screen. As soon as he makes it, the ball handler is right there. Right. You want to at least get a step ahead. But look at the defender. He's already over the hip. He's already over the hip. And what happens is that Reed immediately gets two on the ball, as you see right here. Playing high, they're trying to take away his three. The big is not going to let him step into a pull-up three. Well, as you have talked about, that Reed is really good at. And so then you open all that space here in the middle of the floor. What are you going to do in the middle of the floor? So can Reed just go ahead and make the pass now? Yeah, but if he lobs it over, you got two defenders near the nail who can come up and tip the ball away. Yeah. So you have to kind of keep playing it out. So look at Reed. Look how he still moves to the side, but moves north to south at the same time. He moves to the side, makes sure he drags the defenders with him. Then he finds the low man and he sees, okay, is the low man here or is it here? Well, he's helped over, but this other low man, because the shooters are here on the sides, he's gone ahead and stepped in. And there's an open shooting pocket, wasted the last possible moment, finds that pass to Dante for the alley-oop. So, like I said, he's at least making those tertiary reads in the half court, which I think is very important. A lot of these examples here, like here, Nate Williams, where he's making those cross-court passes. Now, here's a good solid screen, right? Good solid screen. He comes off. He has separation. Now he's like, okay, good. I can be fast and attack the feet of the big and maybe get a one-on-one, get to the rim. I have Dante who's about to roll to the rim, and I have guys who are helping off my shooters. So let's look at what Reed decides to do here. He comes off. They're converging on Reed. Look at the corner. Wide open. Finds Nate. Nate doesn't take the shot, drives in, eventually gets a layup and a follow-through to go through. But those are the types of things I think will translate, just being able to make these decisions. Look, Example here.
That's a beautiful pass, bro.
Beautiful pass. Let's watch that again.
That's such a good
2
pass.
guys on him. How does he even see the guy in the corner?
It's a bullet.
It's a natural point guard.
One-handed
point guard. Yeah.
Man, so many of those misses off his passes, man. It's crazy. Here we go. Here's a rescreen. I like this a lot. Okay, you're going to be physical with me. That's fine. I'm going to get a rescreen. And I'm going to come off. I'm going to go to my weak hand. This is a weak defensive coverage by Detroit trying to play his left hand. Look at this. Even though he's driving left, look what he does. Makes another great pass to the corner. You know, it's just these small things that, you know, do an excellent job of really kind of getting him open and doing those things. So that's pretty much it for me. I wanted to make sure that we kind of highlight some of these things from a passing perspective that really do show him to be a good creator. Now, ultimately, as well you mentioned, he has to be able to hit his shots. And I think he's did well on the creation side. I'd like to have seen him more consistently make those pull-up threes. But I think, in my opinion, when you're seeing him in a situation where he's around better spacing, he will be able to do that. But the Detroit game, you know, does bring about some questions, right? Ball pressure when he was guarded by guys who were 6'5" or had long wingspans. That's the game where he had 6 turnovers. They were rushing him, trying to be disruptive in the passing lane. He wasn't able to get as much separation off those pressures and isolation. And then he is a really smart basketball player. But if you're constantly pressuring someone and they have to make decisions quickly or quicker than they're more used to, that's what causes issues. And that's something Reed will have to get better at over time. Having more strength helps with that, but you have to be able to do other things, and that's where practice comes into play.
Yeah, I think that's going to go – it goes really hand in hand with the strength conditioning, because if you go back to that Detroit game, some of the reasons why he felt, I guess, frustrated was because when he would cross half court, there were times where if you turn the corner with force and strength, you can actually get by those guys, because these aren't NBA level defenders that are coming at you. So if you're able to overpower them and fight through that pressure, then you can get to your second and third reads. But a lot of times he was stifled at the beginning, and that kind of, you know, anytime you have the mental games and players are yelling, give me that, you know, like early on, that stuff kind of builds up, and it can affect you if you allow it to get to you. So I think a big thing for Reed is continuing to become stronger. Upper body strength, hand strength is a big thing, and being able to have that force. Like if you watch a man, the way he has the ball, he's not the best ball handler himself, but the force and strength he has, you're not gonna like strip the ball from him. You're not gonna pressure him like this. So getting to that level, and obviously it's a big height difference, but there are ways where he can improve from a physical standpoint to make everything easier, you know, for everyone else.
And granted, Kelly, even back to the Clips, there's a reason why those corner passes were open, because that summer league team was not a good shooting team. They were willing to give up those threes, but you can't do that in the regular season against Dorian Finney-Smith. You won't be able to do that against Kevin Durant, against Tari Eason, Jabari Smith, who will be in the corners, who are some of the Rockets' better three-point shooters. I want to finish up talking about Reed and talk about some other stuff from summer league with this question here from Mario. What is plan B in case Sheppard is not ready for a bigger role this season? Let's say we get to January. In-season tournament has gone on.
Yeah.
You've seen enough time from Reed. It's clear that he's good, but he still needs time. Yeah. What do you think the Rockets will do now, especially that they have only 13 players on the roster? Kelly, I'll start with you, then I'll go to Will.
Well, the answer is Ime's number one option, which is more Fred. I mean, Fred played a crap ton of minutes last season. You know, I've talked to Fred a lot, and he's of the same belief. Like, if Reed plays well, he can rest his body. Like, he took a lot of beating last season. And these older players, they want to save their bodies for the playoffs, right? They want to be fresh. That's kind of why they brought in Clint, because, you know, now Steven Adams doesn't have to play back-to-back. He doesn't have to play every game 3 and 4 nights. So if Reed plays well, you know, he can play less. But if he was to struggle, Ime is going to go to Fred Moore, or is going to bring Aaron. Do I think that's the best thing? Probably not. I think it would behoove them to get Amen some more on-ball reps as a lead ball handler, because now there's uber spacing around him. So I think that could be a thing. They could even stagger, kind of how they did with James and Chris long time ago. But there are solutions. Like, it doesn't have to be. I don't think it's a make or break thing that Reed has to just come in and be this voila guy, because they have enough depth where they should be able to sustain even if he's not playing. But if the option is playing Fred Moore, I'm not sure if that's the best thing because of the health. And then if the option is playing as opposed to playing, a men more or giving Aaron some burn.
Well, how about you? What do you think?
Like I said, I hope that this is kind of like a conversation that we won't have to have. Like, I hope that Reed is just ready to assume that role. Because like I said earlier, like, I don't think we're asking him to do something that's super duper complicated. We're asking him to, like I said, be a serviceable NBA player in 15 minutes a game off the bench on a contender. And I think that's a job, but I think he can do it. I feel like if you didn't believe in him that much, then you shouldn't have drafted him number 3 overall. But that being said, in the hopefully unlikely event where he is not ready though, like I keep saying, I think Holiday is the option there. I think he's, like I said, he's someone who can hit threes. I think he shot like 39% from 3 last year. And he's someone who stays ready, right? So like he doesn't like get too many warm-up shots. So he comes in, makes plays. I remember it was a game, not this season, but last season, I believe, where he played OKC. And I think we